From Mary Oliver. invitation. Oh, do you have time to linger for just a little while out of your busy and very important day? For the goldfinches that have gathered in a field of thistles, for a musical battle to see who can sing the highest note or the lowest, or the most expressive of mirth, or the most tender. Their strong, blunt beaks drink the air as they strive melodiously, not for your sake and not for mine, not for the sake of winning, but for sheer delight and gratitude. Believe us, they say. It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend this rather ridiculous performance. It could mean something. It could mean everything. It could be what Rilke meant when he wrote, "You must change your life." Welcome and good morning, friends. My name is Reverend A.J. Galazin. My pronouns are he and his. I'm the interim minister here, and on behalf of Nancy, Lee, Yellow, Marshall's family, Robin and Paul, I want to thank you for joining us here this morning. It is good to be together. We need each other at this time as we gather to celebrate her life. It is our custom to light a chalice whenever we gather in the spirit of love and in the spirit of life from one of our beloved hymns. Here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us wise, kin to all that lives and dies. Love calls us on. Love calls us on. From Mary Oliver, Starlings in Winter. Chunky and noisy, but with stars in their black feathers, they spring from the telephone wire, and instantly they are acrobats in the freezing wind. And now, in the theater of air, they swing over buildings, dipping and rising. They float like one stippled star that opens, becomes for a moment fragmented, then closes again. And you watch, and you try, but you simply can't imagine how they do it. With no articulated instruction, no pause, only the silent confirmation that they are this notable thing, this wheel of many parts that can rise and spin over and over again, full of gorgeous life. Ah, world, what lessons you prepare for us, even in the leafless winter, even in the ashy city. I am thinking now of grief and of getting past it. I feel my boots trying to leave the ground. I feel my heart pumping hard. I want to think again of dangerous and noble things. I want to be light and frolicsome. I want to be improbable, beautiful, and afraid of nothing, as though I had wings.
Who could be captured as well by a bouquet of flowers as my loving friend Nancy Marshall. Gorgeous, complicated, blossoming, reaching for the light. Woo! See, we all know that side of her, yeah? Good morning. I'm Topher Hansen, and I am here for my family member, Nancy. My siblings all called and wanted to be here with us. They're far away. My parents have a seat in the columbarium and were parents to Nancy in many ways. And so this is a family occasion. Nancy was wonderful because she lived so openly and genuinely through her soul. Woo! But beauty at the same time. And that's what was so attractive about her, and how she flourished in so many areas is she came from here. She was honest, complex, empathetic, truth-seeking, fun, and wild. To her very end, fun and wild. Occasionally, she had to tame the fun and wild. Ironically, that led her into a whole piece of who she was. When she had substance use problems and then found her recovery, and through that recovery, she found so many other people. She tamed a piece of her soul through all of that and trued it up and made it so deep and rich that she was able to help other people find their own recovery. So one, as you all know, she was a musician and a wonderful musician. And so one day I was having Steve and Jim, among others, come play at the garden at Centerpoint. And I went and picked up Nancy from where she was living and brought her down, and she just relished. She was bathing in your music. And then she was bathing in all the people that were there to listen to your music who she knew. And it was just such a moment for her. She was like the queen sitting in her chair and having all the subjects come to her because there was so much love. And it was a wonderful experience for her. And so after it was done, we hopped in the car and I took her back to the place she was living, and a 20-something staff person let us in the door. And so at that point, I said, okay, I'm going to leave you and love you. And so we gave a big hug and said we loved each other. And then she stepped back and pointed at me and said, "Rock and roll, motherfucker." I wish I had a picture of the 20-something's face, because I responded with the same line. We pointed at each other and said that. So in tribute, I wore my tie that says blues at the bottom because she had music deep in her soul, and I couldn't think of a better piece of apparel to wear than my tie. So I added on because just the tie wouldn't have worked very well. So you all know she loved and flourished with art and music and fun and helping others. That became a big part of her. But mostly it was her children and grandchildren. She talked and talked and talked about family, and it was so close to her heart. So the other side of tear is laughter. And just take a moment and listen in your own brain to Nancy laugh. It comes to me that fast because we laughed a lot. But the serious side was also then providing therapy and music and art in a soulful connection to people, that was a serious piece of her as well as a fun piece of her. And through all that and through our relationship, which lasted a long time, she really left her fingerprint on my heart. I met her at the end of this hallway when I was 12 years old. As I came to know her a little bit, I saw her struggle with her divorce and the pain that was in that. That was a memory. But then I saw the overwhelming joy when she married Pat Healy, and just what that opened up for her. I, as these two can tell you, and I watched the house when they traveled, and it was just short of a bucking bronco ride. But that's the connection that I had with Nancy and with Pat, is to be trusted with their kids and their house and all of those things. And that was special for me as well. So Nancy, this may take many of you by surprise. Nancy was my secretary when I practiced law at Healy and Whelan. And that's kind of what both Nancy and I said, like, oh. Let me just say, secretarial work wasn't her forte. And so fortunately, we were connected in a way that we could laugh about it, be serious about it, and we made it through, and in a loving way. But overriding that and all other things, we were friends, where if we didn't see each other for months, then we did, and we picked it up right where we left off. There was just nothing in between. I was able to see her one last time on her 84th birthday, and we sat in her room and talked, and just had as good a time as she was able to have with me at that time. But the coolest thing for me was we had kind of an intimate conversation moment, And as we were doing that, we were looking into each other's eyes, and we both connected through our eyes. And I saw Nancy, and it just completely warmed my heart because she was such a warm soul, and that's the way I don't know anybody who lives through her soul as much as Nancy did. And I was able to see that, and we had a wonderful time, and actually talked to Robin on the phone, and it was just a great little moment for all of us that she enjoyed because it let her touch what was, and so that's what we were doing. That's how we were having our moment. And so I will leave you with what she left. For so many that she that worked in the place that she did. Paul told me about this, that she was busy teaching everybody her philosophy in life, which is peace and love, motherfuckers.
Good morning. My name is Dorothy Walker, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a couple of experiences that I had with Nancy to kind of bring her home to us. Nancy Marshall, sister of my heart, all of us here to celebrate the life of our cherished Nancy have our own experiences and memories of our precious friend, Nancy. Nancy and I could be many days or even months and years apart, yet when we did get together, we started in the mid-sentence that we had left. Today I'm going to share a New Orleans experience and read you a poem I wrote some years ago. These are unique to the Nancy Dorothy love. In 1987, Jim and I were guests of Nancy and Pat. We stayed with them in their condo in the French Quarter in New Orleans. Some of you may have been there as their guests as well. Pat had the menus of all of the best restaurants in New Orleans, and our job was each day to decide what we were going to order, and we didn't get to change that because he was a little controlling. And so the four of us were expected to choose our meals for the evening before we went to the Bombay Club and Martini Bar for the grandest martinis ever made. After dinner, we spent our time seeing and hearing New Orleans jazz. We went to Preservation Hall, sitting on humble benches to hear the hall's musicians. Alan Jaffe, who was a resident of Pennsylvania, had become involved with the band and started the practice of taking the preservation musicians around the United States, touring and even into Europe. Mr. Jaffe was a beloved benefactor of Preservation Hall. When we learned that he had unexpectedly died and that his funeral procession would be the next morning, starting at Preservation Hall, we went there to join them. We learned there were 3 lines. The first was for his family and the marshal. The second was for the jazz band. And the third was for the community and friends and neighbors. We joined the 3rd line, Nancy, Pat, Jim, and I. The band started playing the dirge slowly. As we watched fathers teaching their little children, their sons and daughters, the free-form strut-like dance, that goes with doing the procession. Some twirled handkerchiefs and parasols over their heads. It was even misting. It was like a magical experience. The four of us kept up with the strut, as Nancy urged us to. The band began to play when we get toward Louis Armstrong part. The band began to play when the Saints come marching in. Of course, the crowd then revved up, and we walked into the park, and people kind of left in groups in different ways, and so we went on our way, although we learned later we could have gone with any group and been part of more celebration. That day, though, afterwards, we went to, I think it was called the Acme Oyster Bar. We continued that celebration with Nancy trying to get her name on the wall of the oyster bar to signify championship of eating oysters. And believe me, she tried. And I am not an oyster eater. And no, Nancy did not qualify that day, but I'm certain she did eventually. My second memory of the Nancy Dorothy Love is the poem I wrote for Nancy and Robin on the day that Makita was born. As was my practice at the time, I walked in the early morning from our house on Park Avenue to Sheridan Boulevard. And as I was walking, the sun rose and bloomed as I walked, inspiring me to write this poem for Nancy and Robin. Welcome, baby girl Marshall. Welcome, baby girl Marshall. Welcome to your world. The morning sun this day, January 10, 1995, burst through the broken clouds, golden, rich, and round, portending your arrival. When the evening sun set, brilliant red, robust red. Welcome, baby girl Marshall. We know your mama. The woman with at least one and often more treasures in her arms. Now the best treasure is you. We know your mama, the woman they call tenacious, the woman we know as courageous. We know your mama, the mama whose smile smiles across our faces, the woman whose music fills up our best places. We know your mama, and we know your mama's mama. Together or one by one, they are the women whose uniqueness only you will recast. They are the women whose riches only you will surpass. Welcome, baby girl Marshall, golden, rich, and round, brilliant, robust red. Paul and Robin, thank you for sharing your mama with me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you, Paul and Robin, for your love and care for your mama. You shall continue to rise up. You shall continue to honor Nancy's memory and bloom like the January golden sun. And I love you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Martha Ellen Florence, and I had the privilege of experiencing the spirit of Nancy Yellow Marshall for over 3 decades. And if you knew Yellow, you already know that there may be a bit of off-color language here, just a little bit, not much. But as I shared previously in a Facebook post, she was a true Renaissance woman, an artist of rare depth, and a musician who understood the quiet power of a single note, and a counselor whose compassion reshaped lives. In every corner of her life, creativity, humanity were inseparable. As a mentor, she didn't simply teach, she revealed new ways of seeing. She taught me how to recognize beauty in complexity, resilience in struggle, and possibility where others might overlook it. She would often say about my attempts at art, my attempts at music, don't worry, now here it comes. If you fuck it up, funk it up. The only person will know is you. And I've taken that advice into every part of my life. Her wisdom came through paintbrushes, piano keys, as much as it did through her words and her actions. Always guiding, always expanding what I believed was impossible. To be mentored by someone who could see the world through many lenses was a true gift. She showed me that life could be both art and service, both expression and empathy. Her influence lived and will continue to live in the way I work, the way I create, and the way I show up for others. Yellow and I reconnected as she was beginning to navigate her journey with dementia. At first, I'd come over to her house on Sundays. Every week, I'd knock on the door. She'd say, "Go away, I don't need visitors." And I'd say, "Okay, then let me in, you won't have a visitor." And she did, she let me in. So on those days, she played the piano, we sang, we played her percussion instruments, and we'd do little art projects here and there. And when it became time for her to move to the country house, I and her family helped with the transition. Robin and I decorated her room, full of fun and color, just like her. It quickly became a gathering place for the residents and staff because they loved hanging out because it was so beautiful. Her first night there, Robin and I said, "You know what, Yellow, we're gonna have a slumber party. So you'll have some friends." But we also brought Uncle Nearest whiskey. Yellow always remembered that her girls were supposed to be there to help her through the transition, but they got shit-faced and forgot and fell asleep. When my work began taking me out of town from time to time, I'd call to check in. During a particular call, she said, "You know, I think I need your spirit back in my life. When are you coming home?" From that point on, whenever I was in town, I made it a priority to go see her. When I moved back to Lincoln full-time, Wednesdays became our day. We'd go out to eat, get dessert, go to the park, and occasionally, sometimes early on, we'd go do a little shopping. Some of my fondest memories come from those years with Yellow. The last time we went out to eat, she said, "I don't know if I can do this anymore, I'm bored, and I'm ready to go." She ordered fish and chips. I said, "Yellow, if this is the case, fish and chips is a pretty shitty last meal." And so we laughed and we talked, and then she said, then we made jokes about the Last Supper, and I said, "If this is and so we were talking about, and then she said, "Do you think the disciples said this is a pretty shitty meal?" And I said, "I don't know, but man, I don't know." But she said it a lot, so I didn't take it seriously. So then we were sitting there, and she was still making some off-color jokes, and I said, "You might want to do a little mea culpa to the Virgin Mary." And she said, "Because now if you know Nancy, not Yellow, but if you know Nancy, she had never been particularly generous with her opinions of the Virgin Mary." But she put her hands together that day, she smirked, gave me that look, and looked up at the sky and said, "Sorry." And I said, I guess you're good. And we laughed and we talked, and then little did I know that that would truly be her last supper outside the country house. So I hope they have carrot cake and key lime pie in heaven. The following Wednesday, I came by and then learned that Yellow had taken a turn. The activities director, Tracy, and I were sitting at her bedside, and she kind of rustled around. She sat up slightly and looked at me and said, dude, I gotta go. I got shit to do. Several days later, she was gone. I will continue to carry her spirit forward with gratitude, knowing she helped shape not only the person I am, but the paths of so many others. So soar high, my friend. You earned those badass wings through a lifetime of grit, love, and unwavering spirit. And Topher's already told you the ending, so I'm just going to say peace and love out of respect for the sanctuary. And if you knew Yellow, you can just turn on the back of the program and you know how it ends. Thank you so much.
Morning. My name is Christine Grosh, and I was asked to do the eulogy. And the stories I have to tell about Nancy fit right in with everybody else's, but I had fewer years. But it's sacred privilege that has soul connection with her too, you know. But part of what I think about is what makes something holy. And that time with Nancy was holy time, you know, that soul connection that happened. And I feel like it was a great privilege to be part of this group that knew Nancy. So I just want to say I picked up fast that Robin, Paul, Mock, Trinity, Carrie, Wilder, and Meadow were the most important things in her life, people in her life. She really didn't want to be a burden, so she tried to be, tried to not be a burden to them. I thought that was a little sad, but you know, that's how she was. So I want to say a few things. My favorite song was the song to the swimming suit manufacturers. And yeah, Baby Needs Shoes, you know, they sang that song. I didn't find it on any of the recordings though. Anyway, she also had a song that she liked by Blossom Dearie, Peel Me a Grape. Like, where do you get songs like that? I mean, really, she had a collection of them. Well, she grew up in a musical family, and somehow or other she fell in love with jazz. Though she told me about coming home from school as a youngster. She thought it was about 7. Nobody was home. And the way she comforted herself was to sit up to the piano and play old hymns, because it was a small town in Oklahoma, and the Baptist church was where they were, and she knew those old hymns. I thought that was pretty cool. So a story that is my story about Nancy is we met in Dream Group. I had heard of her through her advertising on the radio, and knew that she was singing down at the Indian Oven and different things like that. But we were at Dream Group, I really got acquainted with her, and then I was doing exercise class across the street at Holy Trinity, and she walked in one day and she said, St. Monica's needs a chaplain. 2 days later, I got my job as a chaplain at St. Monica's. That was a little bit of magic that I'm still thankful for. Yeah. So one of the things at St. Monica's that I witnessed, she would sing with those clients. And she could get them to go into meditation with their voices. It was awesome. One day we were at a case management meeting, so there were about 15 therapists there. They were talking about a particular case. Nancy's comment focused the attention. She knew the right thing for that client, and everybody recognized it. It was just a little piece of magic, you know. So we were friends during the years when she had cute haircuts with purple and rainbow colors and green and all that stuff. And she was wearing artistic clothing, and she and Don and other musicians were playing at this church and listening to Thelonious Monk. I think that was a big hobby of hers. The church was really important to her, and it was because there was a mom's group and lots of support for her lifetime. She had some serious medical concerns over her life. She came through them. There were times at Burkholder, theater and arts communities, lots of different things. The years that I was with her, we liked to drive by the house on sunrise and see how the plants were doing. There were cats and gardening at her apartment, and yeah, all kinds of different things. The important thing is to say we had that soul connection, and it's unique, and I'm really thankful for it. And hope you stick around and tell some stories after this service, okay? Yeah. So the really hard thing when Nancy left St. Monica's was I would get a phone call. She'd be forgetting to eat. And I'd go find some food and go find her. And then there were the times of getting lost while she was driving. And that's a rotten way dementia steals people's lives. My memory is that she chose to go to memory care. It seemed to me for months, every time I talked to her, she was worried about being a burden to her kids. And so that's when they made the decision to go to a residential facility. And for a while, I could pick her up from the country house and take her to exercise class. But then the feelings of not fitting in were dominant. You know, she was doing just fine, keeping up with the exercises and chatting with everybody. Didn't look like a dementia case at all, but her feelings kept her from going. That was another way that the dementia steals people's lives. Not being like other people is painful. So a couple of years ago, there was a Christmas concert, and it's a dear memory because the group that was singing had these really awesome chords, and the resolution of the chords was really awesome. I had Nancy on one side and a music professor on the other side. I was having my own bodily experience with these awesome chords, and then I'm surprised we weren't levitating. Yeah. So I really believe the power of music kept Nancy's brain going. And every time I hear jazz on the radio, I want to call her and say, tune in. Well, then the grief wells up. We'll get through it. Sharing our memories will help us, and hope you have a good cry. I hope you have a chance to touch the urn or some other way to say goodbye. Tell the stories. Have some good laughs. That was really important to Nancy. That's how we can honor her.
Thank you to everyone who participated in sharing music and memories this morning. And all are welcome to gather in the gallery for refreshments and fellowship. Our closing words are from Mary Oliver. When death comes. When death comes like the hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut. When death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between the shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering, what is it going to be like, that cottage of darkness? And therefore I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And I look upon time as no more than an idea. And I consider eternity another possibility. And I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular. And each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does toward silence. And each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something real and particular. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. And our benediction is from Elizabeth Tarbox. Come and find me. You won't have to look hard. Come to where the ocean touches the shore. Find me in the bright light promise of morning on the waves. Look carefully at the bubbles breaking on the wet sand. There I am. Turn over the glistening rock, slippery with its cushion of seaweed. Here I am. Hear the gulls crying news of the endless ocean. That is my news, my voice. Lie with me in the tall green marsh grass. See my footprints in the sand you have walked upon. Do not say I am lost, for you have found me. I am here. Go now in peace.
We're gonna laugh, we're gonna talk, and we're gonna eat. And then we'll scoop up the bones for Henry Jones. 'Cause Henry doesn't eat no meat. Today I'm going to the market, gonna buy a whole lot of fish. That will please Brother Henry, 'cause fish, you know, it's his favorite dish. Gonna get a large can of molasses, so Brother Henry will have something sweet to eat. And then we'll scoop up the bones for Henry Jones, 'cause Henry doesn't eat no meat. Now Henry's not a big drinker, he rarely takes a sip. Henry never eats a napkin, 'cause the food Henry eats don't rip. One day we had us a banquet. It really was a banquet. We started out eating shortbreads of beef, and we finished up eating steak. Well, after the feast was over, Brother Henry sat down and took a seat. And then we scooped up the bones for Henry Jones, 'cause Henry doesn't eat no meat. I'd like to just thank everyone for coming, and I just feel so blessed that you are here.
And, God, my mama was such an incredible fucking woman. Sorry, Mary.
Don't apologize.
You know, one thing that I know that if I didn't know this in life with my mama, that I knew, that I now know in death, in transition, is that we have this amazing ability to create our passion through our strengths and somehow get paid for it. Like, she was incredible to do that, and she gave that gift to me, so I feel really blessed. And I'm entirely blessed that you all came to the room to share her life, all together. So, thank you so much. Yellow's calling.